I've had friends say to me, "You're going to do that for the cops? Aren't you worried you'll get in trouble?"
Today, I'm taking you to probably the last place where you'd expect people to be smoking weed, a police training academy. Since 2018, these Maryland police officers have been holding what they call green labs to study cannabis impairment and also to show weed consumers how cannabis might impair their driving.
Put your glass on top of your head. I just need to measure your pupils.
We're checking to make sure that their vitals are at a normal level before they dose with marijuana, and then we're measuring their vitals again at the end to see how much their vitals have changed.
All right, you good.
There's about a dozen participants here. Each of them have medical cannabis cards and they come with their own supplies.
We're going to now consume for the next 30 minutes, okay, in here. After we consume for 30 minutes, we're then going to go into the classroom where some of the officers that are getting some of this training are going to have you go through a couple field sobriety tests. I encourage you guys to have fun, get to know one another, and if you have anything else, let me know.
I actually used to work for a police department before working for the dispensary, so it's kind of like a 360. I feel like this is great opportunity for police to learn what the community uses for herbal medicine, so that they can get familiar with how it affects us in a beneficial way, and not like the negative stigma that society puts on it.
I've had friends say to me, "You're going to do that for the cops? Aren't you worried you'll get in trouble?" I don't think that's the issue, honestly. So I'm more worried if they don't know what's going on.
Thank you. Prior to agreeing to doing this, they do tell you that they'll reimburse you $60.
So today we came to run fields on users that use cannabis to see what levels of impairment that they're at and how it affects them, because it affects everybody differently. When we're out on the road and we're making traffic stops, it definitely affects our job, because alcohol impairment is very different than someone who's under the influence of, say, marijuana. So doing this training today will help us be able to, I guess, find those indicators sooner rather than later.
Down to the bridge of the nose. A common sign of somebody who's impaired on marijuana, their eyes are unable to converge or to go cross-eyed. In other words, hers were they actually came in to some extent. And a lot of that we attribute through these studies as tolerant users, people who use all the time or frequently.
Left. Right. Right. Left. Okay, good job.
So this is going to be my second time, just because now recreational is around the corner for Maryland. So I just wanted to come back and really just give back and kind of just educate, the police in this area, just what at least this area is about.
What did you take, I guess, today?
I took 3.5 grams, which is 1/8 of weed.
Okay.
I smoked it in blunts. I used to have insomnia. Went through so many different. My parents spent a lot of money. Went through so many different doctors, you name it.
Yeah.
But this has really come a long way for me. So.
That's awesome.
And we kind of saw what was going on across the country, thinking, hey, adult use is probably around the corner at some point, and so we kind of need to not put our heads in the sand and make certain as law enforcement that we're aware as to what those laws are, and then also how to make certain that we keep our roadways safe. So the first lab, we had all of our students dressed in uniforms, and we saw immediately after that first consumption period, one of our consumers, that paranoia elevated, and the uniforms made her extremely uncomfortable. So we changed that so that we're all kind of more on level footing, and that seems to have been what we've gone with, since then.
Yeah, I didn't find it too hard. It was more fun than anything.
I'm waiting for number 2, might be worse. If I make it.
The one one thing that we do differently is in the second round of consumption, we do offer the opportunity for some individuals to also consume alcohol. It's important for us to have officers exposed to individuals who both consume alcohol and cannabis and what they might then see on the roadside.
Captain with a little bit of Coke.
Can we give her thank you?
You often ordered a drink from a policeman?
Never. It was fun.
You don't have to stand still.
That's it, so you guys can head back in. We're gonna do another 45 minutes of evaluations, then we're gonna get you guys home, okay?
So it's just the whole idea of my room. 8, 9. I still don't know.
You're good, relax.
How did you find the second batch of tests?
Harder. I brought a couple of cultivars with me, so I changed it up, changed my effects, like I'm like in chill mode now. I treated the lab like I'd have some friends over and we'd have a smoke sesh. And if I was a friend coming over and I had to go home and drive, like that sucks. I wouldn't be able to do that.
She was much more impaired than anybody was in the previous 2 tests. The previous 2, they were rating themselves maybe 3 or 5 out of 10 in terms of impairment, which is of course subjective. But then our subject rated herself as a 10 out of 10, and you could tell just based on the way that she was moving around, the way she was talking with us and conversing, kind of forgetting things, that it was a huge difference.
Surprisingly, I felt a little more, at least focused. I want to say sober, but obviously that's not the case.
We got a lot of people that didn't understand what we were trying to do, but it's been a great experience. We really want the cannabis community to understand, there is a risk to driving if you're impaired, if you're high. And I think they equally want us to understand that, hey, there are going to be people who maybe used a lot, smoked hours and hours ago, but may have an odor of cannabis upon their person, but they might be sober. They might be fine to drive.
It's 9 p.m., all the testing is done, all the smoking is done, and now participants are being driven home by police officers.
Thank you all for helping.
Thank you.
Appreciate you all.
Stay safe, stay warm.